Every morning, it happens without us even thinking about it. The phone lights up, the notifications roll in, and before our feet even touch the floor, our minds are already crowded. Messages, headlines, updates, it all comes rushing toward us. And somewhere along the way, we stopped noticing how much of our time, our clarity, and even our peace we quietly handed over to the digital world. I remember a moment not long ago. I was sitting in my living room, scrolling out of habit, not intention. The sun was setting, painting the walls in soft gold, and yet I barely looked up. When I finally did, I felt this wave of sadness wash over me. How many sunsets had I missed? How many calm moments had slipped through my fingers because my attention was somewhere else? If you're feeling overwhelmed, distracted, or simply tired of living inside a screen, you're not alone. And this video is for you. Today, we're talking about digital declutter. Not a harsh reset, not a rigid rulebook, but a gentle path back to yourself. A simple way to reclaim your focus, breathe a little deeper, and rediscover quiet in a world that rarely slows down. Because sometimes peace isn't about escaping life, it's about unplugging long enough to truly live it.
There was a time when technology felt magical, like a doorway to a bigger world. We sent our first emails with excitement, learned how to search for anything we were curious about, and felt proud the first time we figured out how to video call a loved one. It felt empowering, almost fun. But somewhere along the way, that magic quietly turned into pressure. Now, it feels like everything demands our attention. Every app, every notification, every update. The phone buzzes, the inbox grows, the news never stops. For many of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, it can feel like standing in a river that keeps flowing faster, no matter how tired we are. And instead of helping us live better, technology often leaves us feeling overwhelmed, drained, and strangely disconnected from our own lives. Studies today confirm what many of us have felt for years. Digital overload increases stress, weakens focus, interrupts sleep, and steals our mental quiet. But the biggest cost isn't something science needs to explain. We feel it every time we look up from a screen and realize a whole hour or a whole day slipped through our fingers. Time we can never get back. Time we could have spent talking with someone we loved. Time we could have spent resting. Time we could have spent simply breathing, noticing the world around us, remembering who we are beneath all the noise. I remember one evening when this truth hit me hard. I was scrolling through emails, switching between apps, half watching the TV in the background. My mind felt scattered, stretched thin. Then I looked over and saw a family photo on the shelf, my kids when they were young, all of us smiling in a way that felt real, warm, unscripted. For a moment, I just stared at it, and I realized I'd spent more time inside screens that day than inside my own life. That moment was my wake-up call. The good news, the hopeful, gentle truth, is that we can take control again, not by throwing technology away, but by choosing how we let it into our lives, by slowing down, by turning off the noise for a while, by creating pockets of peace where we can breathe, think, notice, and simply be. A small reset can change everything. A quiet morning with no screens, an afternoon walk with the phone left at home, a conversation held with full attention, a night of uninterrupted rest. These simple moments, ordinary, quiet, unhurried, can bring us back to ourselves. They remind us that life doesn't happen in notifications or endless streams of information. It happens in the real world, here and now, in the spaces where we choose presence over pressure. And it's never too late to reclaim that peace. Not at 40, not at 60, not at 70 or beyond. With just a gentle reset, we can begin again.
I used to think cleaning my life meant organizing the closets, clearing the garage, or finally dealing with that drawer full of takeout menus and batteries that don't work anymore. But one day, while waiting for the kettle to boil, I picked up my phone, the object I used more than anything in my home, and realized it had become its own kind of cluttered closet. There were apps I hadn't opened in months, photos I didn't even remember taking, screenshots of things that no longer mattered, and notifications stacked like unopened letters. It felt heavy in a way I couldn't quite explain, like carrying around a tiny box full of noise. So I started small. Not with my house, but with this device I touched hundreds of times a day. I deleted the apps I didn't need. I cleared old messages that no longer had a place in my life. I let go of screenshots I kept just in case. With every swipe, every delete, it felt as if I was creating a bit more breathing room inside myself too. What surprised me wasn't how fast the process was, but how freeing it felt. Like cleaning out a closet, only this time the space I opened wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, quiet. And as I sat there, watching the storage bar shrink and the screen grow emptier, I realized how much invisible weight I had been carrying. So much of modern life hides in that little rectangle. Expectations, distractions, comparisons, pressures we never meant to invite in. Clearing it out was like turning down the volume on the world. When I finished, the phone felt lighter in my hand. And somehow, I felt lighter too. There was room to breathe, to think, to simply be. It made me wonder how often we overlook the places where clutter truly lives, not on our shelves, but in our attention, our habits, our digital lives. We don't always need a grand transformation to find peace. Sometimes it begins with a small, almost ordinary act. Cleaning the space we use most. The space we carry with us everywhere. And maybe that's the quiet truth we forget, that clarity doesn't always come from changing our whole world. Sometimes it comes from clearing a little space inside it. Enough for presence, enough for meaning, enough for us to breathe again.
There was a time when I didn't even notice how often my phone buzzed. A vibration here, a ding there. Just part of modern life, I told myself. But one morning, as I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee cooling in my hands, I watched the screen light up over and over again. Promotions I didn't ask for, alerts from apps I barely used, news updates that only tightened my chest, group messages that had nothing to do with my life anymore. By noon, I had counted more than 30 notifications, and the day wasn't even halfway done. Later that evening, I read somewhere that the average person receives over 70 notifications a day. 70 moments where your attention is pulled away. 70 tiny cracks in whatever piece you're trying to build. And suddenly, it made sense why I'd been feeling scattered, drained, always tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. So I did something small, almost silly. I turned them off. The promotions, the social media alerts, the random news pings designed to keep me hooked, the app updates I didn't need, the group chats that had become more noise than connection. And for the first time in years, my day felt like my day again. The house seemed quieter, not because anything changed outside, but because something finally softened inside me. I could hear my own thoughts again, gentle, steady, familiar.
I noticed the sound of the kettle warming, the way the afternoon sun stretched across the floor, the peace of doing one thing, just one thing, without being pulled away. That's when I learned something I wish I had understood sooner. When you protect your attention, you protect your peace. It isn't grand or dramatic. It's simple, almost invisible, but it changes how you move through the world, because every time you silence a distraction, you make room for something real. A deeper breath, a clearer mind, a quieter heart, a moment that actually belongs to you. Maybe we don't need a new routine or a new place or a new version of ourselves. Maybe we just need fewer interruptions so we can finally return to the life that's been waiting under all the noise.
For so many of us over 50, life has become a constant stream of noise. Screens lighting up, messages flowing in, news cycling through our minds faster than we can process it. We've spent decades showing up for work, for family, for responsibilities that never seemed to pause. But somewhere along the way, without meaning to, we stopped showing up for ourselves. And that's why the simple habit of creating offline hours has become one of the most healing practices we can choose. At first, it feels almost strange. Setting aside a quiet hour with no phone, no TV, no emails waiting for replies. Maybe it's the first hour after you wake up, when the house is still wrapped in morning softness. The air is cool, the light is gentle, and the world hasn't yet asked anything of you. In that quiet space, you can hear things you've ignored for years. Your own breath, your own thoughts, the quiet rhythm of simply being alive. Or perhaps your offline hour comes at the end of the day, when the sun dips low and the noise begins to fade. 1 hour before bed, no screens, no catching up, no scrolling. Just presence. A cup of warm tea, the feeling of your body sinking into a chair, maybe a book you hold, instead of a screen that holds you. These small choices soothe the nervous system in ways we forget are possible. Some people choose Sunday mornings, a sacred little window carved out from the rest of life. No obligations, no rushing, just you, your home, and your breath. These moments bring us back to the world we can touch, smell, and feel, not the digital one that constantly pulls us away. And it's in these offline moments that something almost magical happens. You remember who you are when no one is calling, asking, or expecting. You remember what it feels like to think your own thoughts instead of reacting to everyone else's. You reconnect with your home, not as a place you rush through, but as a space that holds you. You reconnect with your body, the rise and fall of your chest, the way your shoulders drop when no one needs anything from you. You reconnect with the quiet, and in that quiet, you reconnect with yourself. For many people over 50, this is the shift that changes everything. After years of carrying responsibilities, caring for others, meeting deadlines, and moving at a pace faster than the heart was ever meant to move, these offline hours become a kind of homecoming, a place where healing begins, a place where presence returns, a place where meaning gently rises to the surface again. In a world that asks us to stay plugged in every second, choosing time offline is an act of courage and an act of self-love. Because the truth is, peace doesn't come from more information, more noise, or more doing. Peace comes when the world becomes quiet and you can finally hear yourself again.
I didn't notice it happening at first. Maybe you didn't either. It started quietly, a quick glance at my phone while watching TV, answering a message between bites of dinner, opening one more tab while promising myself I was just checking something. Little by little, my mind became a crowded room where everything talked at once. And the strange part? I thought I was being productive. I thought juggling 10 things at the same time meant I was keeping up. But the truth showed up in small ways. The forgotten details, the restless nights, the constant feeling that my brain was buzzing even when the house was silent. One evening, I was sitting in the living room with the TV on, my phone glowing in my hand, a half-open laptop on the table. I wasn't fully watching, reading, or listening. I was everywhere and nowhere. And for the first time, I asked myself, when was the last time I was fully present? That question stayed with me. It lingered the next morning as I drank coffee, the next afternoon as I tried to rest but couldn't quiet my mind. So I decided to try something small, almost too simple to matter, one screen at a time. At first, it felt strange, almost uncomfortable, like my hands didn't know what to do without multitasking. But something unexpected happened on the second day. Then the third, I felt lighter. I felt calmer. My mind, which had been stretched thin for years, started to breathe again. Watching TV without scrolling felt like sinking into a warm, familiar chair. Eating a meal without notifications buzzing felt like returning to something I'd forgotten, the taste of real rest. Even checking emails became faster, easier, because my attention was actually there, not scattered in 5 directions. And that's when it hit me. Multitasking wasn't helping me keep up. It was wearing me down. We live in a world that constantly pulls at us. Messages, news, alerts, endless content. It's no wonder we feel tired even on quiet days. Our minds were never meant to jump from thought to thought like a flickering light. They're meant to settle, to focus, to rest. Choosing one screen at a time isn't about discipline or restriction. It's a gift, a small doorway back into clarity, presence, and peace. It reminds us that life doesn't need to be louder or faster to be meaningful. It needs our attention, gentle, steady, undivided. So the next time you sit down to watch a show, or eat, or read, try giving your mind that gift. Put down the extra screen. Let one thing be enough. You might be surprised by how deeply calming it feels, how quickly stress softens, how your day opens up again, quietly, peacefully, like a deep breath you didn't realize you'd been holding. Sometimes the simplest rule is the one that brings us home to ourselves. One screen, one moment, one mind returning to ease.
I used to think the digital world was just there, a constant stream of information I had to live with. News, opinions, arguments, ads, noise. I never questioned it. I scrolled every morning, every night, letting everything in, without noticing how heavy it all felt. But one day, after waking up already exhausted, I realized something simple. Just like the food we eat shapes our bodies, the content we consume shapes our minds. And my mind was starving for peace.
I remember sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, the early light stretching across the room. I opened my phone out of habit, but instead of scrolling, I paused. I asked myself, how do I feel after spending time online? The answer wasn't pretty. Drained, worried, unsettled. Like my thoughts weren't really mine anymore, just echoes of the loudest voices on the screen. So I started small. I unfollowed accounts that fueled comparison or stirred frustration. I muted negativity, even from people I cared about, because boundaries are an act of love too. And slowly, I curated my digital space the way someone tends a garden. I kept what nourished me: calm voices, simple living, quiet inspiration, things that taught me something or reminded me to breathe. The change didn't happen overnight, but little by little, I felt lighter. My mornings stopped feeling rushed. My evenings felt quieter, softer. I had space again, in my mind and in my heart. And with that space came clarity. It's strange how we protect our bodies from junk food, yet feed our minds anything that passes by. We forget that every post, every headline, every video plants a seed. Some grow into anxiety, some into restlessness, but some, the right ones, grow into peace, purpose, understanding. Now I think of my digital diet the way a gardener thinks of soil. What I allow in will take root. What I choose to nurture will shape the landscape of my inner world, and what I remove creates room for something better to grow. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the pace of modern life, the constant updates, the noise, the pressure to stay connected, maybe it's time to tend your own garden. Choose content that lifts you, teaches you, calms you. Let go of what drains your spirit, because your mind deserves the same care, the same tenderness, the same nourishment you'd give your body. And when your digital world becomes a place of peace instead of pressure, you begin to bloom too.
When you declutter your digital world, something magical happens. I remember the day I finally turned off my phone for an entire morning, leaving emails unopened, notifications silenced, the endless scroll of social media untouched. At first, my fingers itched for the familiar tap and swipe, but slowly, the quiet began to speak. It wasn't the silence of emptiness, but the kind that invites noticing. The subtle creak of the floorboards under my bare feet, the way sunlight pooled on the wooden table, the soft hum of the neighborhood waking up. Your mind, overwhelmed for so long by 1,000 small distractions, finally takes a deep breath. Thoughts that were scattered, jangling like loose coins in a pocket, begin to settle into place. You notice the rhythm of your own thinking again. Decisions feel lighter, less forced. You remember what it feels like to think clearly without a background of constant alerts demanding attention. And slowly, stress, that quiet shadow always at your shoulder, begins to recede. I took a walk that morning, leaving my phone on the kitchen counter. The world felt different, slower, gentler. A neighbor waved, and for the first time in months, I waved back fully, without glancing at my screen. The air carried the faint scent of autumn leaves and wood smoke from someone's fireplace, grounding me in the present. These moments, once invisible amid the digital noise, now felt like small treasures. Each step, each breath, each glance at a flower pushing through a crack in the sidewalk seemed to whisper, "This is enough. You are enough." When we reclaim our attention, we reclaim our lives, one small moment at a time. The emails can wait. The newsfeed can wait.
Even the urgent little pings that demand immediate reaction can wait. What does not wait is the chance to experience life fully, the taste of morning coffee, the warmth of sunlight on your shoulders, the smile of a loved one that reaches your heart because you are truly there to see it. I began keeping a simple journal, not for anyone else, not for likes or shares, but just to notice the days as they passed. Slowly, life became softer, more human. The clamor of obligations and digital noise faded into the background. I felt myself return, piece by piece, to a quieter, more meaningful rhythm. And there, in that calm, I discovered something almost forgotten: joy. Not the loud, fleeting kind that social media promises, but the quiet, enduring joy of living, of being present, of noticing life without hurry. Decluttering my digital world didn't just give me space, it gave me myself back. One small moment at a time, we can do the same. One morning without a phone, one walk without distractions, one slow sip of tea, one conversation without looking away, and suddenly, life feels slower, softer, more human.
If you're seeking more peace, clarity, and balance in a busy digital world, you're not alone. I remember the mornings when my inbox overflowed, my phone buzzed endlessly, and my mind felt tangled in a web of obligations I couldn't untangle. One day, I simply set my phone aside, took a deep breath, and noticed the sunlight spilling across the kitchen table. I listened to the quiet hum of the house, the soft rhythm of my own heartbeat, and for the first time in months, I felt fully present. Slowly, life began to feel lighter, softer, more human. One cup of tea, one mindful pause, one gentle walk at a time, I reclaimed little pieces of myself. This is what we share at Simple Earth Studio. Simple, heartful moments to slow down, reconnect, and breathe. Thank you for being here. Take a deep breath. Your peace begins now.